I am super excited to be with you tonight. And tonight is going to be a very special night. This is our enrichment session, and we have our enrichment coordinator, director, amen, Pastor Jared Purdue. Come on, wave your hand, Pastor Purdue.
Hey,
And
good people.
yes, and Pastor Purdue has a special guest tonight. I'm so excited to have this great man of God in the person of Suffragan Bishop David Johnson from Minnesota.
Yes. Welcome.
Listen, everybody, as you're coming in and you're watching this, do me a favor. You guys know what we do. This is a special session. God bless you, Sister Caroline. God bless you as you come in. Do as Sister Caroline has done. Give us your name. If you can, tell us where you're from. Let us know you are here. Let us know you are watching. We want to put you up on the screen to let other people know that you are watching along with us. Do us a big favor. Would you please share and tag somebody? Share and tag somebody. Let them know we are on. Tonight is going to be really good because we're going to have conversation about the unplanted pastor and preacher. Did y'all hear me? The unplanted pastor and preacher. So, I mean, some of you might even be wondering, how can you be a pastor and preacher and not be planted? Oh, they gonna tell you. They gonna tell you. They gonna tell you. We're gonna talk about it. Come on here, Pastor Purdue. Talk to us. Let's get this going.
Yes, it's always good to see you again, big sis, Pastor Sandra Riley. We thank God for the opportunity and this platform that you have set up for us to meet virtually. I think it's phenomenal what you're doing as you lead and direct us in this area of ministry. So thank you again for this opportunity. And we have my brother, as it's already been stated, all the way from, is it Minnetonka, Minnesota?
You got it, Minnetonka, Minnesota.
You know anything about Purple Rain? No, y'all saved. Y'all don't know about Purple Rain. Okay. And but this is my brother from another mother. We have been friends for a very, very long time. I was sharing with before the broadcast tonight, I will go to war for and with Bishop David Johnson. This is my brother. I love him to life, his family, his wife, his children. That's my sister, and those are my nieces and nephews. We're tight like that. And Grace is my other church. He pastors a wonderful church, Grace Apostolic Church in Minnesota. They're doing phenomenal things there. I have watched him down through the years, and we'll get into that. But I want us to welcome once again. I know some of his members are coming on as well. The Honorable Suffragan Bishop David Johnson is on the virtual live tonight.
Well, thank you, Pastor Purdue, and hats off to our dear leader and sister on tonight, the great Pastor Sandra Riley. Praise the Lord unto you, big sis. We thank God for you on this platform. Tonight, we're here to talk tonight. I want to just get right to it because we got some stuff to talk about tonight, and I'm excited to be with you, my dear brother and friend, and to be able to talk tonight about this unplanted preacher. We're going to talk tonight. I believe God will talk to us.
Absolutely. Let's hop into it. But I want people that know pastors and preachers, get them on the line. Everybody is welcome. But if you know a pastor and a preacher, get them on the line. We want to have a real and relevant conversation tonight about some things that we may talk about in our own closed quarters, but we want to bring it to a public platform and just get a greater perspective on it so we can be better. Tonight's intent is not to belittle anyone, to shame anyone, but it's to bring clarity and direction so that we can have a better generation coming after us as it relates to the leadership of pastoring and preachers of the gospel of Jesus Christ. So let's just go into it. I'm gonna hop in from this direction, Reverend brother.
All right.
You have been in ministry a long time, but you did not start where you are. I have watched you matriculate from a local leader to a state leader to a regional leader to a national leader to now on the missions board, an international leader representing the Pentecostal Assemblies of the world. But you didn't start where we see you at tonight. Talk to us really quickly about what you feel the importance of servitude is, where you started, because you didn't start out preaching, you started out serving. Talk to us about your servanthood.
I'm sorry, my dear brother and friend. I have to admit, our great leader tonight, Pastor Sandra Riley, only gave us an hour. So if we're going to start there, we may not make it,
Part two.
Yes. My pastor taught me in the very beginning, it's necessary to be educated behind what you're called to do for any job or responsibility. In the secular world, they're looking for a degree and experience. But in the church world, you can just jump right in, quote unquote, and say that you are called, anointed, and able to go forward. Once I wanted to have a conversation with my pastor in the year of 1995, nervous to talk to him and to ask him about this unction that I'm feeling. I was in the heart of being an usher at the church, ushering, cleaning bathrooms, parking cars, getting snow off cars. So as I'm ushering, I'm taking him a note from the pulpit. He was upstairs in his office, and immediately, I want to ask him, but I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to be shamed. I don't want to be talked about as if I'm trying to move into ministry, to be on my time. And as I got ready to leave the office, he says, "Son, when are you going to talk to me about ministry?"
Yeah.
And immediately the door opened. And I said, "Oh my goodness, I've been wanting to talk to you about this forever." Yeah. And so he says, "It's going to begin." I thought that we were going to begin preaching, talking about exegesis, hermeneutics, homiletics. I thought we was going to jump right into the good preaching and learn how to shake the mic and all that good stuff. He told me to go clean the snow off his car.
Yeah.
He told me to help him take his sweaty, wet robe off with his pants and his t-shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm preaching. He told me that serving is where it's at. It's not behind the microphone or the podium. It's how well can you implement the calling rather than preach the calling. And implement the calling is in serving God's people. So no, I did not start off where I'm at today. I started off in bathrooms. I started off carrying briefcases. I started off wiping sweat off my pastor's forehead. I started off changing my pastor's clothes. That's how I started. I became his armor bearer. I became his servant. And in the process of that, serving has become my saving grace. Yeah. I don't know what to do besides serve. There's no other way out. I have to serve. So making it to the space that we're at now, we're grateful to God for being able to plant Grace Apostolic Church. Now, 13 years ago, we're in our 13th year now, and we're excited about that. But we didn't start here. We didn't. We started,
No. Of course, you didn't start here, but a lot of times people feel like they can mimic what you have done because this is where they met you. And so I didn't get all of the gloom. I'm just meeting you in the glory era of your life. I want to ask you, though, and deal with serving from this perspective. To some degree, I feel it's a lost art, if I can say it that way, because everything that you named, some would consider to be demeaning or less than. That's a grown man. He can take off his own robe. He can hang up his own pants. I don't need to carry nothing for him. I'm a grown man. You're not going to do me like that. What is some of the mindset do you think a person has to have in order to even qualify to serve at an appropriate level?
I think the qualifications, Pastor, is wrapped up in two words. The two words. One is we know that we're holy in the process of walking with God. Holy is not our challenge. We're called, we're grown, we're anointed, we're holy.
Okay.
The truth of the issue is we need to be humble. We
Hmm.
need humility. It's not the holiness that we're challenged with. It's our humility in holiness. And sometimes holiness becomes, and I'm not here to degrade holiness by far,
Right.
it becomes air. We have to be careful that we don't become safety pin balloonable, if you will.
Yeah, I got you.
Don't bust the balloon after
Yeah.
you blew up in this holy. I'm somebody now. No,
Yeah.
no. Jesus humbled himself, y'all. We know it. He, jumped right into ministry. He girded himself. He kneeled down. He washing folks' feet. This is where it's at. You got to meet people at the lowest level before you shake the mic. Walk down the cancer ward and see what your ministry works.
Let's go. Let's go.
Walk into the penitentiary for 17 years and see if your ministry works.
Yeah.
Go to Bangladesh and see if it worked there. Right? Don't try to push it in the church because you see everybody else doing it. Right? Because that's what we think. We think,
I like this piece you talked about though, man, with the whole we don't struggle with being holy as much as we do being humble.
Yeah.
When you consider the word humility, it's from the etymological word is humilis. It's Latin. It's of the earth, right? It's to be even keeled. It's to be grounded.
Yes.
Right? We talk about, so it doesn't mean I am weak. It doesn't mean I'm a pushover. It means I'm even keeled. I'm even headed. It means I have a level of content. Here's the word, I'm balanced. Yes. When I live a life of humility, I live a balanced life. And a balanced life really deals with having a realistic perspective as to who I am. Bishop Noel Jones preached a message probably 20 years ago. I heard this message. He preached it at an Apostolic Faith Church doing faith works in the 90s. The title of it was, I'm a child of God, no more, no less.
Wow.
Even keel, balance, humility, right? Up, grounded. And so I think sometimes if we use holiness as a badge of honor, I think it is a road to arrogance that makes us feel better or act like we are better than other people, which removes us from the whole balanced lifestyle or proper perspective. So talk to us about the balance of being holy and walking in humility without one feeling like I'm degrading myself.
Well, number one, I think that in the process of it all, we have to see it from an angle of wide foundation or wide base.
Okay.
If we look at building a structure of something going upward to go up, humility allows you to have a greater base because it grounds us, as we said it earlier. It keeps us even keel, but it makes us have a wide foundation. And the humility portion of this, when it rocks, because the rocking is coming, the wave is coming, the wind is coming.
Yes, sir.
It's coming. All right. It can be a hurricane. It's coming. It can be a Scirocco wind. It's coming. East wind. But you got to have a good foundation and the base. And I think this is where it's going to lead us deeper into our conversation, because the balance between humility and being holy is really about being in a position or a low place where you can be planted to get foundation put in you.
I love that. I love that. So in essence, one has to be humble enough to know that they need to be validated in whatever area of ministry they're in.
To jump in, you didn't switch from gear 1, 2, 3. You fit go to gear 5. Yes.
Yeah. You know, it's like who validates you. We have this I don't know, dispensation that we live in. I don't want to blame it on any particular generation, but I just believe we live in a dispensation where, hey, I don't need nobody to validate me. I don't need anybody to approve me. This is what I'm called to do. This is what God told me to do, and I'm going to do it. And again, we're moving away from that whole humility piece, right? Being humble enough to be planted. And when we're planted, it is somebody helping to validate us. You mentioned, Bishop, you said your pastor called you into the room while you were serving and said, when are you going to talk to me about it? That was a form of validation. All through scriptures, we see people being validated as they prepare to move into ministry. We got the Moses and Joshua. We know about that. We know about Elijah and Elisha. We know about Paul and Timothy. We know about Jesus and the disciples. But even check it out with Jesus. Jesus didn't just pop up on the scene and start operating in ministry. Heaven opened up. God validated him and said, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. So everybody that operated on a major level in ministry was validated by somebody, right? Somebody validated, somebody planted the ministry, somebody gave them the go ahead. What is the issue with being validated? Why is it that I feel like I can just go off and do what I feel I'm called to do without being sent?
You know, I'm not sure where we're at. I don't know if we are in approaching a backwards dispensational time period, going back to Judges chapter number 2, that speaks towards there arose a generation that knew not God. You know,
Yeah.
I think relationship is important, and we struggle as people of God wanting something in the space of our call. I don't think the call and the desire or passion is incorrect for the individual. I think the challenge that we have is that the individual doesn't want the guidance for the calling. I
Yeah.
made it very clear to someone teaching to ministers in our church that the call is like a lethal weapon. I'm watching on social media that someone was at the gun range. I'm just scrolling, and they're at the gun range, and they're shooting this artillery, and they don't know what to do, and it goes up in the air. And as it's going up in the air, it's almost going to hit people behind them
Yeah.
rather than in front of them, which
Yeah.
tells me that you have something in your hand, but you haven't been educated on how to work it.
Yeah.
Haven't
Yeah.
humbled yourself enough to be taught how to use the gift or the calling that you've been called to. Since then, it's dangerous. You could really affect people. You can kill people, hurt people, slaughter people, destroy people in the process. I think people are young ministers or the unplanted preacher could be challenged at times because they don't have the humility, same word again, humility to listen, to be planted. I think that's a serious piece. And I want to just say this real quick about being affirmed, because being affirmed is valuable. We talked about Jesus, heaven open up, right? But consider the genealogy lines from Genesis chapter number 6, 7, and 8, all the way up to chapter number 11. The genealogy lines.
Yeah.
You see the genealogy lines all the way up to Abram. Everybody's son is named.
Yeah.
Everybody's father is named. I gave birth to. And then we move to Matthew's gospel, and then we move to Luke's gospel, and both of their writings. These are genealogy lines. Genealogy lines are important for the believer. It denotes who gave birth or who planted the seed that's here. And that's why the whole humility factor, the soil, the lowness, the foundation, and being planted. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. That's good, man. Can I say, I think one of the concerns we have with being planted as preachers is that you have to go down before you come up.
You talking now. You're about to open up a can of worms, my friend. Listen, let's take that deeper, right? Now here we are. We understand Psalm 1, right?
Yeah.
We all understand Psalm 1. Blessed man walking on the counsel of the godly, right? Uh, you know, but there's a portion in the text that you know, planted by the rivers of water.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
You know, you if you want fruit to come forward out of what you call that you're called to do, you want fruit from that, you need to be planted. You need to be planted. You just can't go and do it without being sent to do it. You know?
No, absolutely. The going down piece of being planted though really is dealing with the whole humility part of it.
Back to it.
The if I can say it this way, the dark side of leadership.
Yes.
When you're underground.
Yes.
When you don't get noticed for particular things that you're doing, when it's not time for them to honor you or refer to you. That's the side of ministry when I'm on the opposite side of the ground where it's dark at. I feel like I'm not being noticed. This is where I think we get phrases from. They don't want to use me over there.
Right.
Right. They holding me back over there. They holding me back on my gift.
I love that. We got a good question on the screen, preacher. Let's talk about the question here. What we got? Let's talk about this question.
What do you say here? Do you think there's a gap in understanding for someone understanding the need for covering transitioning from a Christian witness to a minister? Today, those can seem synonymous, from covering transitioning from a Christian witness to a minister. Do you think there's I think, if I'm understanding the question correctly, and please elaborate on this, Bishop. Matter of fact, you go ahead if you get it, and I'll elaborate after you.
No, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I think some of that is, if I'm understanding the question correctly, is somebody who wasn't in ministry transitioning into ministry, and how does that look, and is it different from being a witness for the gospel to actually being a prognosticator of it, right? Mm. And so I certainly understand that, and there are some tools that are different, right? There's a different approach, study habits that one would take, how we look at the text, how we present the text publicly. All of those things are included, and based on your style of ministry and the pastoral leadership that you're under, I don't think there's a blanket answer to that. I think you have to go based on where you are. Here it is, planted.
Absolutely.
The church and the ministry and the culture that you are a part of, that ministry leader, that pastoral leadership will help to direct you in what that transition looks like. Because some may be like you did with your pastor. Hey, go take care of my robe and get it from the cleaners and things of that nature. For somebody else, it may be, I want you to prepare 10 minutes before I speak on Sunday. So where you're planted at has a lot to do with how that transition looks. That's my perspective on it.
I think to add to that, Pastor, is what you just ended with, and I use the language of bloom where you're planted.
Yeah,
and blooming where you're planted simply means that in the beginning, when you're just a lay member of the ministry or of the church, all of our jobs and responsibility is to spread the gospel in some shape, form, or fashion. Be a witness. Just be a witness of Jesus. Absolutely. Share the love of Christ. Share the gospel. Transitioning to preaching or teaching the gospel in the office of the preacher and teacher, it is different than the individual that just casually shares the gospel from a witness perspective or a member perspective. Two different offices, two different situations. But I think we all have a responsibility to share the gospel, but make sure that when you are moving to the calling of it, you're being led by he or she who you serve.
You know, that's good. It also means if you're transitioning into ministry, we cannot make that synonymous with you're transitioning to be put on a schedule to preach. And I think sometimes, and I'm not saying that's what the person is saying or asking, right, but I want to just put that point out there. Sometimes it's like, hey, I've been called to preach. When will it be my turn?
Yeah.
When am I going to get on the schedule? When will I have an opportunity to minister? And it takes me back. You remember the Karate Kid, Bishop?
I was going to go there. I was going to go there. No, I was going to go there tonight. I was going there tonight.
It's the whole wax on, wax off, and you think this is a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
What does this have to do with preaching or ministry? And you don't understand you're learning discipline. You don't understand you're learning how to walk in humility. You don't understand you're learning to master patience.
Yeah.
You don't understand you're learning to pay attention to details, all of the things you need as you move forward in preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ.
100% right. And I think it's a space with the whole wax on, wax off is getting out of you what you don't think is in you, and spending time in that space. So you think that you're called, and you might be called, but in the season of wax on, wax off, it's not just doing the mundane, continued, robust, repetitive action, but it's also working out of you the anger, the frustration, the stuff that you didn't even realize it was there until you had to do this action over and over and over again. Now, oh, see, I knew frustration will come out of you. I knew it.
Yeah.
But that's what a pastor knows.
Absolutely. That's it. We're about to go there. Pastor got her hand up.
I see Pastor's hands. Come on, Pastor Riley. Come on.
I'm listening, and I need you all. I need you guys to address this. Number one, Suffragan Bishop, I did not know you were the founder of your ministry. Okay, I absolutely knew that before the merger, the gathering, Pastor Perdue is the founder. So if those of you watching now, we have two ministers of the gospel who are planted, who are committed and submitted, who are also founders of ministries and doing very well. Has the culture caused there to be this disconnect that so many in ministry have? You know, is it the culture that we live in today that has caused the disconnect? Because here is reality. You may not see it within your denomination, but you see it in Christianity. Reality. Someone is called 3 years ago. They do well, maybe on social media.
Talk about it.
They have now got a ministry in a building. Now, in 2 years, not only are they a pastor, but then they are a bishop.
Yeah.
And then next week, you know, they are going to be elevated to be an apostle. And just yesterday. and all of that without us really knowing who you are connected to.
That's it.
What is that monster?
Ooh-wee. You and great question, great perspective, Pastor Riley. That what you described is the description of the unplanted preacher. We don't know where you've come from, and you have not allowed anybody to hold you accountable.
There you go.
You have no accountability. I tell the people that I've been blessed to lead, every leader needs somebody in their life that can check them. Who can check you? Who in your life is not a fan of yours? Can say, hey, you're wrong. Perdue, you're wrong, man. You got to change that. You can't say that. You can't do that. You can't act like that. You can't treat people that way. You're wrong. And I'm saying it in love. I love you enough to tell you wrong. And we live in a culture that is, one, it's fast paced, but part of pastoring is understanding your pace. And when you don't understand your pace as a pastor or a preacher, we start to compare what we're doing to what we see happening in the culture, mainly social media. So if I see Brother Lightbulb is doing this over here, because I don't know my pace as a pastor or a preacher, now I feel like I got to keep up with them. And okay, let me do that. And we fall into these traps of different fads, FADS, fads in our life where, okay, this is what's popular now. And that's why I'm a pastor today, then I'm a prophet, then I'm an Episcopal, then I'm a Presbyteros, then
Yes,
you get
yes,
what I'm saying?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I press mood amongst y'all. I have to tell them about that.
That was good. Yes, yes. All the way good. All the way. I think to this, Pastor Riley, for your question, and add it with Pastor Perdue, I think it's important that we figure out for the unplanted preacher, where's the fingerprints that are on you?
Yes.
I'm looking for the fingerprints. What fingerprints are on you? Meaning that in the formation of your ministry, in the formation of who you are, what fingerprints are on? Who put their hand on you? You know, somebody needs to put hand. I think the scripture teaches us throughout the entire Bible that hands is important. I mean, it's important to do the work. We work the work of ministry with our mouths, our mind, and with our hands. And if we're going to work in ministry, flow in ministry, somebody needs to have hands on them. I'm talking about yes, we need to have someone laying on hands of us. That's important. We need that. But I'm really referring to uh, who's shaping you.
Yeah.
Jeremiah 18. Who's shaping you? We're potter, wheel, clay. Who's putting his hand on you to mold you? I talked to somebody a while ago and just told them that I am proud, not just to be an apostolic preacher, but I'm also proud to have foundation in the actual ministry in which I'm in. I didn't grow up in church. I didn't. I'm sorry, y'all been saved all y'all life. I didn't grow up in church. That wasn't my ministry. The Lord had to snatch me and drag me into church. The lifestyle I live, you wouldn't even be excited to be next to me right now. I wouldn't even be on this broadcast with you all. So I'll probably just get out of the penitentiary right now.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm thankful that God snatched me. I'm able to say that my pastor was the assistant pastor to Elder Henry Hill. Elder Henry Hill was the assistant pastor to Bishop Samuel Hancock. Bishop Samuel Hancock served as one of the assistant pastors to Bishop G.T. Haywood. The lineage I have in the apostolic foundation and the hands that are on me is because of the foundation of my lineage. That's what I know. Somebody need to be able to say who sent you,
Come
who
on.
put their hands on you, or else you just unplanted.
You're unplanted, being shaped by the culture, and that's really by whatever is popular at the moment. And that's dangerous because that vacillates. You know, when people get you, Bishop Johnson, look at the 4 or 5 generations of history they get with you. It's not just you telling them. It goes back to the Honorable Bishop G.T. Haywood that's coming through your vocal cords. All of those connections of ministries that have been planted down through the years is coming through you, which makes your voice notable and necessary for the time that we live in. Now, I want to say something, man. Oh, go ahead, Pastor. I'm sorry.
I also add to that, because of the connection, each one of them took on the scent of the previous person. So now I even understand Bishop Suffolk and Bishop Johnson. I understand you better. You smell like these people.
Yeah.
Come on, you.
Yeah.
Some of you need to ask yourself, who you smell?
Who you smell like? Oh,
I'm
Let's
done.
go. Let's go. Let's go.
Yes.
I love it.
When you close enough to people, hugging up on them, you're serving them so close, you smell like them. They rub off on you. I mean, come on. You know, I hug my wife, baby. I already had on fragrance. Why I smell like you now? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it is. It's that close proximity. I'm there. This is good. This is really. I like this.
That's a great segue. Pastor Riley, you just threw me an alley-oop. That was great. That's a great segue, because the question becomes, we're talking about being so close in serving until we take on the sense of leadership. And we can use that word scent as actions, habits. We take on personality traits.
Yeah.
People start saying, man, you sound like your pastor. Things like that. Those are sense.
Oscar just said that. He just said, who is your spiritual DNA? That's what he's saying.
That's
spiritual
it.
DNA. That's exactly what it is.
So here's my question with this alley-oop I'm about to catch that Pastor Riley threw up. If that's the case, and we understand serving is being planted, and whenever something is planted, it takes time to grow. My question is, what are you in a hurry for? To preach or pastor? What seems to be the rush that you're not willing to take the necessary time, as Ecclesiastes tell us, to everything there is a season, so that you wait to the proper season so that your fruit will remain? What are we in a rush for? Why is it that, and I'll throw this out here. One of the reasons I feel, and I want to hear from you, Bishop, one of the reasons I feel that people rush sometimes is sometimes they feel like they can do it better than the person they serve under.
True.
I can preach better than them. I got more followers than them. True. I'm more articulate than them. I have more charisma than them. And I think sometimes that causes people to rush. But what are we in a hurry for if we don't want our fruit to cast before her time? Why are we rushing?
I think rushing is, we realize, and when I say we, I'm referring to the unplanted preacher, is often in the space of looking from a humanity perspective.
Yeah.
I think when the rush goes forward, one is 100% in humanity. Now, okay, I'm not going to throw all the darts, javelins, and stones at the unplanted preacher for operating in humanity. We've all had moments like that,
Absolutely.
right? However, I think in the maturity, right, in the maturity of the preacher or immaturity of the preacher simultaneously, that one, when you're immature or unplanted, you want to rush to get fruit, but don't want to rush to get rooted.
Woo! So, wait a minute. No, wait. No. We gotta pause. I'm sorry. They want to rush to get fruit, but not in a rush to be rooted.
That's right.
Come on. What are you talking about when you say fruit? What are some of the fruit that they're in a rush to get?
Well, watch this. This is the difference. The difference with fruit that's not rooted first, it's made man fruit. It's man-made fruit. It's in a scientific lab. It doesn't have any it doesn't even have seed in it.
Yeah.
It's fruit with no seed. See, it doesn't come after its own kind.
Woo!
It's been made. It's not begotten. It's not begotten. It doesn't have seed in it.
Yeah.
So you got to have seed. And if you don't have any root, you don't have seed. Seed and root is simultaneous.
Yeah.
Because out of the seed produces the root.
Circle Bishop Billy Whittemire said people don't want to serve and be in charge because because who they are serving under aren't moving like they would do it. So sometimes people are like, yeah, well, I would do it differently. I remember before I became IPYPU president, the former president was there, and it was a bunch of former presidents, right, that we had. And I would sit from the audience and say, well, how come we don't do this way? Well, I wonder why we don't do this that way. I wonder why this isn't happening like this. Until, Bishop and Pastor, I sat in the seat. I felt like Asaph. Then understood I, right? Then I was like, oh, got it. And so sometimes to our bishop's point, sometimes we feel like we can do it better. And because we feel like we can do it better, I don't need you here. I don't need your approval, validation. Matter of fact, you're slowing me up. You're slowing me up.
Yeah.
My pastor, when I told him I felt I was called, and I didn't say I felt, I mean, I said I was called a pastor. I knew I was called a pastor, right? And he knew. And at that time, he asked me to wait. And you know what I did? I waited. I waited past the time that he asked me to wait. I waited months after the time that he asked me to wait. And while I was waiting, I continued to serve. You tell people now to wait, it's like you cursing them out. It's
oh,
like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
what can you tell the preacher or the pastor that feels like I'm called a pastor and I gotta go now and do it, and their pastor has not sent them? What do you tell that preacher?
Thank you, Pastor. I think it's really important that we deal with this. Okay. And I'm going to say why. let me take just on a quick little journey here. I was serving in our church after being called to preach.
Yeah.
My pastor has affirmed the calling, put me in front of the congregation. Congregation knows he's affirmed it. Now the council is calling, and I'm preaching on fourth Sunday nights all over. Got a prison ministry. I'm at 7 different penitentiaries preaching. I'm all over. God just opens some doors. Okay, so thank God. After a while, every time I would go to my pastor and receive a request to go and minister somewhere, I was never able to just say, yes, I'm coming.
Come on.
Without first getting proper approval from my pastor to be sent. Watch it. Here I go. I'm going to try to answer your question, Pastor. I'm trying to answer it for you.
Good.
So here it is. After my pastor spent several times, I would say probably a year to a year and a half of yes, yes, and yes to every request that came up, I found my immature self, unplanted, immature, that one time on a Sunday morning, the church phone rang after service was done. I answered the phone. Praise the Lord. Thank you for calling X Church. Minister Johnson speaking. And so, yes, can you come over and preach tonight? Our young people, okay. Well, you know, it's kind of last minute notice. I think everything will be fine. You know, Bishop always says yes. So yes, I'll be there tonight. I'll be there. Hung the phone up. Pastor's office was upstairs. I had to walk upstairs casually, thinking that we're cool, you know, relationship, we are right. He always say yes anyway. So let me just run it by my pastor. Bishop, right. I got the phone call downstairs about 30 minutes ago. Ex-church called and asked me to come over and preach tonight. Will that be okay? He says no.
Yep.
I'm sitting there stung, really bothered, not knowing why he said no. No problem, sir. I go downstairs. I call the church back and say, forgive me. I made a mistake. I won't be able to come tonight. My pastor says no. That's it. I left the service that Sunday evening, bothered in my flesh, hear me out, in my flesh, because I didn't know what was going on or why he would say no now.
Yeah.
After a period of time, I'm walking around now, sitting in the back of the church, in my feelings, in my flesh, all messed up. After a season, I began to walk to my pastor and say, Bishop, I'm just a little concerned. If you would respectfully, I want to approach you right, sir. But if you would just help me understand, why did you say no? I want to learn why. He says, you've learned my yes all of these years in ministry, but you've never learned my no in ministry. Yeah. And I want to mature you to learn my no. You can take the yes, but I learned you to be pouty when you take the no. So I got to fix you. I got to grow you in the no. Some preachers that are unplanted want to move in the yes so fast, but they need somebody to tell them no and go sit down somewhere. And if you're not ready to be planted, you're not ready to take the no.
Man, listen, that's so good. That is so good. I'll add to what you're saying. It's not confirmation when somebody simply agrees with a decision that I've already decided to do. And I think sometimes dealing with the whole no piece that your pastor was talking about, sometimes when a pastor or leadership says no, then those individuals will go to look for somebody who will agree with what they already decided to do. And now that becomes the confirmation. And so I'm like, no, we need to understand it's a discipline in ministry. If I'm planted, I'll take it. I'll learn the lesson and I'll grow from it. If I'm unplanted, every time I get upset in ministry, I'll leave.
Wind, waves, knock you over, knock you out. Come on, Pastor Riley, talk to us.
Yeah.
And then I want to bring this point in, especially to these unplanted preachers, not just the pastors, but preachers.
Yeah.
What you have to keep in mind, and I'm sure both of these pastors can concur with this. When you're a preacher, a young preacher, you only know on that level.
True.
That's right.
That's why you need a covering, because your pastor knows on this level.
That's right.
And sometimes that no is really a protecting you no.
100% right.
Talk about it.
Sometimes that no is, that's what we're talking about, is a covering no. They're keeping you from something, and they're not at liberty to talk to you on your level about what they're keeping you and protecting you from. I'll never forget one time someone called me, asked me to come, and I said, by then I had liberty with Bishop Abney to make certain decisions about where I would go, because I was a full-time evangelist.
Mm-hmm.
It was a new place. I knew of the preacher, but I was like, let me, I don't know. Let me just make sure with Bishop. And I read it by him. And Bishop told me, he says, oh, absolutely not. And then this is when I knew that it was above my pay grade.
Okay.
Tell him you asked me, and tell him I told you no. And I said, okay. Then I knew. Oh, I'm like, because I knew Bishop Abney was not a mean or just.
Oh, no.
And I said, oh, no. Something going on up here that I don't know anything about.
Right.
It's been about 3 or 4 weeks. That particular pastor was all over the news. Somebody had even sent me the article.
Wow.
Because he had been arrested for child molestation.
Yeah.
Bishop knew on this level that was about to break out.
Yeah.
But I was on a level, I didn't know nothing about that.
Right.
And sometimes I say to the two preachers, that's why you need a covering, because you got to trust them to look out for you and to cover you, even when they can't tell you why they have a no.
That's right.
You got to trust them.
I love that. No, that's good. It's a no with no explanation.
Yeah.
I don't owe you that. I love what you said about it being above the pay grade. I'm paraphrasing there, but it's like, this is not the level that you need to understand, or even that you can understand on. I think we need coverings that can critique and cultivate us.
Yes.
That was one of the reasons why I did a little research about some of the reasons why pastors and preachers struggle with authority and accountability. And that was one of the reasons was this desire for autonomy. I don't want anybody to tell me no. I don't want anybody to tell me what I can and cannot do, where I can and cannot go. but everybody has somebody that they need to answer to, or they're held accountable to. In our organization, we even have that with the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World. There's a board of bishops. Wow. Nobody can just do whatever they want to do. We are all held accountable to somebody. It protects us. The no is not rejection. The no is protection.
That's what it is.
It is protection.
That's what it is. Yeah.
I gotta ask you. Someone mentioned Pastor Antoinette Ransom. That's one of my friends from Florida. We praying for you all. I see a few people from Florida. We are praying for you all. Thank you all for being on, but we're praying for you. I know some people are without power. But she mentioned earlier in the comments, she said, you may be called to pastor, but not senior pastorate.
Come on.
And I said, well, that's good right there. Sometimes we hear the word pastor, they take off. How do you see it in the time we live in, the different components of the pastorate, where everybody is not called to be a senior pastor, but there is a pastoral call on their life? Talk to us about that, Bishop.
I think that's very important for the growth and sustainability of the church. As the church in today's market or arena begins to advance or expand, and expand it in areas where, if we're going to really expand the working of the ministry, you have to establish in-house pastors. These in-house pastors are under shepherds underneath the shepherd of the house. And very similar to us as senior pastors are the under shepherd to the great anointed shepherd himself.
Yeah.
And so we mimic the same calling and putting pastors within the church to assist in the full office, give them autonomy, give them authority, give them power, give them strength, and give them support, but also give them the opportunity to shape and develop within the workings of a valuable ministry. So when it's time for them to be planted, they would have some type of experience rather than walking out being a novice and having nothing underneath your belt. And if you can be the right type of pastor, you can understand that and prepare them. I'll give a good example such as this. I've been a barber for about 35 years. And in the barber business, I've had the privilege of owning two major barbershops in the Twin Cities. And both barbershops had, one was 11 stations, other one 12 stations with cosmetology, all that stuff in there. With that being said, every barber that would come and work in our shop, I would tell them that every barber needs to get a notebook, and on the front of that notebook, write dream book. You are not able to work for me unless you have a passion or a dream or a goal that you're working towards. I want to see it written in your book and show me the steps and plans that you're going to grow and gain to get there. I'm going to help you get there because I don't believe it's your responsibility to pay rent to me sitting here for 15, 17 years. That means I'm not developing you.
Yeah.
That means I'm not developing you to get to your goal or your dreams. Once I understand they want to, everybody, all barbers want to own their own barbershop, want to be their own owners. I get that. Well, let's get you there. Let's get you there. I'm not bothered that you want to be an owner. I'm bothered when you leave out the back door and don't let me plant you into the new barbershop, cut the ribbon with you, let the balloons off together and get cake together.
Come on.
Let's do it together. Why do we have to do it from a back door perspective? Now you done took half the clientele from the shop. I ain't talking about church right now. I'm talking about the barbershop.
Right.
From the barbershop, right? And now you're talking about, oh, I'm good over here. And the truth of the matter, watch this. The truth of the matter, when I show up to your barbershop, you got the same colors in my barbershop. You got the same chairs in my barbershop. You got the same TVs in my barbershop. You got the same, you offering the same water. You're doing the same service I provide. Your menu look like my menu. Oh, so,
yeah.
Oh, now I got it. You just wanted to be you. You said that. I didn't say that. You said
right.
that.
Right.
The challenge that we're having with the unplanted preacher is the word identity. You have to find out who you are. And once you identify who you are, get you a dream book, write it down. Write down who you are. Matthew chapter 16. Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am? Find out who you are.
Yeah.
Who are you? Who are you in Christ? And then let somebody help cultivate you, plant you, so you can blossom and produce fruit after you root.
Man, that's so good. It removes the whole competition piece.
Yes.
And they're able to be cultivated without the weightiness of responsibility.
100.
Because I'm not the senior leader. I'm the executive pastor. I'm the associate pastor. I get the experience.
Youth pastor.
Youth pastor.
Yes.
But I get the experience of leadership without the total weight of it on my shoulders. And it prepares me for when I am planted. I think your process, Bishop, will eliminate 12 churches on the same street with 7 members apiece.
Let me plant you.
Yeah.
Rather than you walking out being unplanted. Give us an opportunity to plant you.
Yeah.
Grab some patience so you can be planted.
Let me. Yeah. I listen, our time be flying by here. We had great questions in the comments.
Oh my.
You know, we're going to have to do this again. Because I think it's a vital conversation so that we learn not to be in a rush to operate in an area that God maybe has called us to, but get there prematurely and our fruit not remain. So we want successful ministries. We want the church and the kingdom to continue to progress, but there's a process to being planted where you got to go down first before you come up. And that comes with the balance of holiness and humility. Any parting words, Bishop, that you want to give before we close out? Pastor Riley going to take us out.
I just think, first of all, I appreciate you all. Thank you for allowing me to join you tonight in this conversation. I really, really appreciate it. I want to encourage the unplanted preacher to be patient and to find pace. When you find pace, it will allow you to work in your patience, but make sure you have a pastor. Because the pastor is going to guide you and direct you and get the vipers out the way for you to help you move to the next plateau. We don't want to keep you or strangle you. We want to plant you. Be blessed, everybody.
Woo! Thank you, sir. Talk to us, Pastor.
Everyone, this was so phenomenal. I want to thank, amen, Suffragan Bishop David Johnson. Did I get you right? Man of God. It was so enlightening. I think that it was such a blessing to the people on tonight. And I just pray that the unplanted pastors and preachers were helped. Yeah. And to our visionary for our enrichment series, Pastor Perdue, thank you, man of God.
Yes, ma'am.
Bringing on your special guest. I thank you for putting together this subject. I just showed up and you all did the rest of showing out. And I believe that this has been a tremendous blessing to God's people in the leadership. And what it will do for those of you that are unplanted preachers, it's leaving you without an excuse. You don't have an excuse. Nobody will tell me, yes, we did tonight. And it'll be up for you to replay whenever you feel. So help is here and help. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to give you the last words, Pastor Perdue.
Well, listen, this was great. Pastor Riley and Bishop, I saw people from, I believe, West Africa even on tonight.
Tanzania.
Yes. So we thank God from all over the country and internationally, because we need this topic to be discussed all over the world because we're experiencing it.
The Bahamas was on tonight.
Look at that. The Bahamas.
Yeah. You saw someone from the Bahamas?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Bishop Farrington was on tonight.
Praise the Lord.
Bishop, I need to get in touch with Bishop Farrington.
East Africa. Thank you, Bishop Oscar. Thank you, East Africa. Praise the Lord.
Wow. those of you that from international, because I did see something from Tanzania. Okay, so we got East Africa. Someone had earlier, it said Tanzania.
Yes.
Wow.
Internationally, Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Jamaica's got my name. Come on here. We might be related. Oh, this is what it's all about.
Yes.
Jersey's on, and thank you for identifying people from Florida, because I really wouldn't have even thought that they would have been people from Florida being on, with so much going on there. And it just speaks to you about how, you know, when they want to be encouraged, when they want to be uplifted, you know, God will put something there for them. Bishop Oscar, that's right, Tanzania.
Yes.
God bless. All right, people of God. Well, that's it. And we're so thankful for each and every one of you. We love you. I see the UK. Come on, UK. Here tonight from the UK. God bless you. Listen, you know, we'll get those announcements out to you for our next session. We want you to be a part of it. We have one enrichment session for the year. We don't have the exact date locked in, but there will be one more. I don't know. I don't know if it's part 2 or what it's going to be. We're going to see. God bless you, everyone. We love you in Jesus' name.
God bless.